Microfinance and FDI by Narula and Aashir Sinha.
Money is the only way for an economy to function. Also, it allows you to buy stuff. It's the only way to establish monetary value to something, but it also allows you to buy stuff. It allows you to trade in an efficient manner, however, it also allows you to buy stuff. It also allows people to trade overseas, but also, did I mention, it allows you to buy stuff. As we all know, money is quite important to almost everyone. It can actually solve a lot of problems, however, its distribution actually causes a few of them. These include unemployment, underpaying jobs, sex trafficking, which often leads to gender imbalance, and these continue to branch off into more and more problems. But these aren't problems that people are completely unaware of. In fact, the government in the past has already taken action to try and solve some of these issues. These include more employment, more education, law enforcement, minimum wage, subsidization, more governmental control over the economy, and economic liberalization. However, they all came with their own flaws, making their actual effect very small compared to their expected effect. However, we believe we can change that. Today, India can go on two paths, either that of FDI or microfinance. Now, you must be wondering what they are, so allow us to explain them to you. FDI is short for Foreign Direct Investment, which is often considered part of globalization. It's when multinational corporations invest into overseas production. This production could include agriculture, but is mainly the manufacturing of various products, which will be shipped back to other places or be sold in the same place they were produced. A few places where FDI has already taken place is China, Japan, Indonesia, and Thailand. Microfinance, on the other hand, is not just small money. It aims to empower underprivileged people. It does this by giving small loans that are charged with interest. These loans are given with the intent of helping these people start a business. These businesses aren't often the ones that you'd see in a mall, but rather the ones you'd find driving across India. So far, the only country that microfinance has had a significant effect on is Bangladesh. It reduces poverty rates by 4% and its unemployment by 5%. Today, we'd like to evaluate these two solutions to see what would be best for India and its future. There are far too many indirect effects on both sides, positive and negative, so we'll only tell you the most important ones. FDI helps improve employment opportunities, it helps modernize nations, but it comes at the cost of prioritizing profit over social welfare. Microfinance, on the other hand, helps improve living conditions. It helps empower women. However, it does come at the cost of about $30 billion. Now let's go into detail. FDI helps improve employment by a significant amount. There are very few accurate statistics on how many people have been employed by it because it would be very difficult to keep track of all the foreign companies and their work. However, it's quite clear that it does provide a significant amount of job opportunities, which many people can do. But doesn't microfinance do the same thing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Microfinance promotes a different type of employment known as self-employment. This means that people create their own job. Since these jobs are often of a better quality than the jobs that come with FDI, it's mainly a decision between quantity and quality. Now, let's talk about how microfinance helps improve living conditions. It helps the underprivileged and impoverished get access to things like food, water, sanitation, and shelter. As I mentioned before, it reduced the poverty rates of Bangladesh by 4%, which in context of India could be 30 million people. But now, let's talk about how FDI helps modernize nations. It helps introduce new technologies into a nation, improving its overall productivity. It also helps promote interconnectedness, which is mainly done through the internet. Modernization essentially happens because of globalization, which leads to the boosting of economy and the connectedness of people. This also often leads to an increase in employment in the nation. Another big benefit of microfinance is women empowerment. You must be wondering how these two are related, so let me explain. Due to Indian culture, in most lower class families, the male often works a labor job whereas the female works household jobs. Although this can be problematic in most situations, in this one, it isn't, because it allows the female to dedicate more time and effort towards the business, making her more desirable by microfinance institutions. This is why 95% of all microborrowers in Bangladesh are women. Microfinance financially empowers women, which leads to them getting more social respect from the rest of their community. Now that we've seen the benefits of microfinance and FDI, we must now look at its negative effects. FDI brings big companies into rather small nations. This often leads to companies doing things that could be considered unethical and sometimes even illegal. This is due to lack of law enforcement. This often leads to incidents of child labor, underpaying jobs, unsafe working conditions, and so on. On the other hand, microfinance in India has a demand of about $30 billion today. However, the supply is only $2.2 billion. However, what most people forget is that this money is an investment. It will be loaned out and be paid back with a little more. Also, there is no collateral on these loans, meaning that the bank can't take anything away from the person in the case that they can't pay their loan back. But this shouldn't be a problem because 96% of all microborrowers pay their loans back. But now I'd like to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and compare microfinance and FDI directly. FDI helps improve employment just like microfinance. It helps modernize nations, but it puts profit ahead of welfare. Microfinance, on the other hand, helps improve living conditions, empower women, but comes at the cost of about $30 billion. But now, it's time for us to question our own values and see which one of these economic plans, FDI or microfinance, satisfies those values better. However, as you know, things are never just black and white. Maybe the best path for India is truly in the middle, with both of them. Nevertheless, it's time for us to truly question what we believe would be best for India and its future.
This has been Veer Narula and Aashir Sinha. Thanks for watching.